At 23:30 local time over Pskov Air Base, the crews of the 76th Guards Air Assault Division felt entirely secure, operating 700 kilometers north of the active combat zone. They were parked less than 30 kilometers from the Estonian border, far beyond the reach of conventional Ukrainian missiles. Four massive Il-76 transport planes sat fully fueled on the dark concrete, representing roughly $200 million in heavy strategic airlift capability, waiting for their morning sorties. The base radar operators were staring intently at their screens, scanning the southern horizon for any high-altitude cruise missiles that might somehow thread the needle through hundreds of kilometers of Russian airspace. But they were looking in completely the wrong direction, scanning for a threat that did not exist. Somewhere in the dark forests just a few kilometers outside the perimeter fence, a saboteur team had already bypassed every early warning radar between Kyiv and Moscow. They were unboxing weapons that cost less than $3,000 each, completely invisible to the multi-million-dollar defense grid. The Russian air defense crews had absolutely no idea that their most sophisticated tracking algorithms were about to be defeated by waxed paper and rubber bands, and that by morning their secure northern fortress would be transformed into a graveyard of burning strategic assets. Before we continue, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. The first anomaly appeared on the local defense scopes at 23:32, registering not as an incoming missile, but as a faint, erratic flicker just above the tree line. At an altitude of merely 40 meters, the incoming airframes were flying so low that they blended perfectly with the radar bounce back from the dense pine forests surrounding the airfield. The operators dismissed the brief flashes as a flock of large birds disturbed by the night winds, which is exactly how the software was programmed to handle low-speed, low-density objects. These were not high-tech stealth fighters. They were flat-packed, military-grade cardboard drones assembled with tape and glue just minutes earlier by the infiltration team. Using cardboard for an airframe is essentially the aeronautical equivalent of wearing a camouflage suit made of actual leaves to hide from a thermal camera. Radar waves simply pass right through the waxed paper material, leaving virtually no metallic signature for the tracking systems to bounce a signal off of. By the time the perimeter guards actually heard the high-pitched buzzing of small electric motors cutting through the cold night air, the first swarm of disposable drones was already inside the inner security ring. The Russian base commander was suddenly shaken awake by the frantic chatter on the tactical radio, realizing that the invisible threat had entirely bypassed the outer defenses without triggering a single alarm. At 23:34, the first automated air defense systems finally woke up to the danger, but the engagement geometry was already impossibly skewed. A twin-barreled anti-aircraft gun mounted on a truck chassis swung wildly toward the sound of the approaching motors, its gunner peering through night vision optics into the pitch-black sky. He squeezed the trigger, sending a stream of high-explosive tracer rounds arcing into the darkness at 2,000 rounds per minute. It was like trying to shoot a mosquito out of the air using a fire hose in the middle of a power outage. The glowing rounds sliced through the empty air, illuminating nothing but smoke, completely missing the small, erratic targets drifting silently toward the flight line. A few seconds later, the first payoff of the saboteur's trap materialized. The lead cardboard drone bypassed the firing anti-aircraft gun entirely and plunged nose first into a minor aviation fuel storage pod on the edge of the tarmac. The resulting explosion sent a massive shockwave across the concrete, momentarily blinding the gunners and confirming the worst fears of the base command. The attackers were not trying to destroy the base infrastructure. They were simply using the fire to light up the airfield, completely illuminating the four massive Il-76 transport planes sitting defenseless on the runway. The stakes immediately skyrocketed as the real targets were brightly revealed. With the entire tarmac now bathed in the flickering orange glow of burning jet fuel, the remaining drones in the first wave had their terminal guidance cameras perfectly cued for the final approach. The Russian troops scrambled to manually push heavy ground support equipment in front of the aircraft wheels, a desperate and completely futile attempt to shield the massive tires from shrapnel. The Il-76 is a behemoth of a machine, capable of carrying 42,000 kilograms of cargo, or over 100 heavily armed paratroopers. But sitting idle on the ground, its 50-meter wingspan makes it a target that simply cannot be missed. A second drone glided smoothly through the chaotic crossfire, its onboard optical sensor locking onto the high-contrast silhouette of the nearest transport plane. The base primary radar-guided missile system, built to shoot down supersonic fighter jets at ranges of 40 kilometers, sat entirely useless on the far side of the runway, unable to calculate an intercept solution for a target moving slower than highway traffic. The drone slammed directly into the wing root of the first aircraft, precisely where the massive internal fuel tanks intersect with the main fuselage. A secondary explosion instantly ripped through the night, converting the $50 million transport plane into a catastrophic fountain of molten aluminum and burning aviation kerosene, marking the first major loss. The flames from the first destroyed aircraft created a massive thermal plume, completely blinding the infrared seekers of the shoulder-fired missiles the guards were desperately trying to launch. The defenders had exactly 30 seconds to adjust their strategy before the next wave arrived, but the intense heat signature of the burning transport completely washed out their targeting optics. They were essentially blinded by the very fire they were trying to prevent, looking through thermal equipment that was now flooded with bright white interference. A third drone, flying silently just 20 meters above the concrete, used this chaotic thermal bloom as perfect cover to slip past the remaining gunners. The base commander ordered his troops to fire their standard service rifles into the air, creating a desperate curtain of lead that rained down dangerously on their own positions. It was the absolute definition of panic, choosing the severe hazard of friendly fire over the absolute certainty of losing another strategic airlift asset. But gravity and statistics favored the attackers tonight. A single rifle bullet clipped the cardboard wing of the incoming airframe, throwing it slightly off course, but the drone had already entered its irreversible terminal dive. Instead of hitting the fuselage center, the shaped charge struck the right-hand jet engine of the second Il-76, instantly detonating the turbine blades and igniting a massive secondary fire that completely engulfed the entire right side of the aircraft. With two multi-million-dollar aircraft already burning on the tarmac, the Russian electronic warfare units finally brought their heavy jamming trucks online. These powerful broadband jammers were designed to scramble the control signals of incoming threats, effectively creating an invisible electromagnetic dome over the entire airbase. The operators cranked the transmitters to maximum output, flooding the local radio frequencies with so much static that even the encrypted communication radios of the base security teams immediately failed. They assumed this massive wall of interference would sever the link between the remaining drones and their operators, sending the cheap cardboard airframes crashing harmlessly into the surrounding forests. For exactly 12 seconds, the tactical picture seemed to stabilize as the sky remained eerily empty of new threats. The electronic warfare crew reported a successful suppression, believing they had finally plugged the invisible leak in their air defense grid. However, their entire defensive doctrine relied on one fatal assumption: that the attackers actually needed a live radio signal to reach their targets. The infiltration team in the woods had anticipated this exact response and had pre-programmed the final wave of drones with internal optical targeting systems that required absolutely zero external communication. The jammers were screaming at deaf machines, burning thousands of watts of power to block a signal that did not exist. The third wave of cardboard drones glided effortlessly right through the invisible wall of electronic jamming, holding their pre-programmed course with devastating precision. The base security forces, now entirely cut off from radio communication due to their own jamming equipment, had to rely on runners to relay targeting coordinates across a tarmac the size of a small city. This primitive method of communication created a deadly 30-second delay between spotting a threat and actually bringing weapons to bear on it. As a runner sprinted toward a mounted gun position pointing toward the eastern perimeter, a fourth drone silently dropped out of the night sky from the west, exactly opposite to where the defenders were looking. The operators had orchestrated the flight paths to perfectly exploit the communication blackout they knew the electronic warfare trucks would create. The drone slammed into the cockpit area of the third Il-76, obliterating the complex flight instruments and sparking an electrical fire that rapidly consumed the entire forward section of the massive transport plane. The realization instantly swept through the surviving command staff that these weapons were not arriving from hundreds of kilometers away in Ukrainian territory. The precise timing, the low altitude, and the calculated exploitation of the base defenses proved beyond a doubt that the saboteur team was operating from their own backyard, effectively turning their secure rear area into a frontline combat zone. Desperation completely overtook the Russian defenders, as they realized their entire defensive doctrine was useless against an enemy operating from the adjacent tree line. Only one intact Il-76 remained parked on the apron, a final $50 million prize that the attackers were undoubtedly targeting. Ground crews frantically scrambled to start the massive turbine engines of the surviving transport plane, hoping to taxi the behemoth off the illuminated runway and hide it in the darker corners of the sprawling military complex. But starting a heavy strategic airlifter is not like turning the key in a passenger car. It requires a complex sequence of auxiliary power unit initialization, hydraulic pressurization, and careful temperature monitoring that takes several agonizing minutes to complete. The pilots rushed through their checklists, skipping vital safety protocols in a frantic race against the silent cardboard killers they knew were currently circling in the dark. The massive engines slowly whined to life, spooling up to idle thrust and generating a massive heat signature that immediately painted a brilliant infrared bullseye on the aircraft. By attempting to move the plane, they had inadvertently solved the targeting problem for the final drone, which had been circling blindly after losing its optical lock through the thick clouds of black smoke pouring from the other destroyed aircraft. The pilots felt the massive airframe shudder forward, believing they had just managed to escape the kill zone by mere seconds. As the massive transport plane finally began to roll forward along the taxiway, the pilots breathed a heavy sigh of relief, convinced they had successfully outmaneuvered the unseen attackers. The heavy landing gear rumbled across the concrete, carrying $50 million of aviation engineering toward the perceived safety of the darkened northern hangars. But the final cardboard drone was no longer relying on visual contrast to find its target. The massive thermal bloom of 4 spinning jet engines glowing in the cold night air was an impossible beacon to miss. The drone immediately banked sharply to the left, its simple guidance algorithms prioritizing the brightest heat source on the entire airfield. The base defenders on the ground could only watch in absolute horror as the tiny silent silhouette drifted down right into the path of the moving behemoth. The pilots saw the shadow pass through the landing lights a fraction of a second before impact. The drone slammed directly into the number 3 engine, turning the spinning titanium compressor blades into a high-speed shrapnel grenade that shredded the adjacent fuel tanks. The massive transport plane violently lurched to a halt, heavily bleeding burning jet fuel onto the taxiway as the crew frantically initiated the emergency evacuation procedures, realizing their desperate escape attempt had directly caused their downfall. By 0045 hours, the once impenetrable northern fortress of the Russian Air Force was completely illuminated by the towering infernos of 4 separate aircraft fires. The local fire brigades were entirely overwhelmed, forced to pull back to safe distances as the intense heat began cooking off the pressurized oxygen tanks and internal ammunition stores inside the ruined transport planes. The base commander stood on the tarmac, staring at a strategic disaster that defied all conventional military logic. The Russian military had spent billions of rubles constructing an intricate, multi-layered air defense network spanning thousands of kilometers, meticulously designed to intercept supersonic cruise missiles and stealth bombers operating at the very edge of the atmosphere. Yet, that entire staggering investment had just been completely bypassed by a handful of saboteurs hiding in the local woods, armed with weapons that could easily be ordered from a commercial hobby catalog. The most sophisticated radar velocity filters and advanced infrared tracking sensors in the world had proven utterly useless against the simplest, slowest, and cheapest threat imaginable. The attackers had not just destroyed 4 airplanes, they had completely shattered the illusion of secure rear echelon logistics. The final morning light revealed a catastrophic tableau of twisted metal and scorched concrete that would send absolute shockwaves all the way up to the highest levels of the Defense Ministry. The total strategic cost of the 58-minute engagement was staggering, resulting in the permanent loss or critical incapacitation of roughly $200 million in heavy airlift capability. But the financial damage was ultimately a secondary concern compared to the massive psychological blow inflicted upon the entire military apparatus. The operation conclusively proved that distance from the front line no longer offered any guarantee of safety, and that multi-million-dollar early warning radars are completely blind to an enemy that simply drives to the target and unpacks their air force out of the trunk of a civilian car. A few kilograms of explosives wrapped in waxed paper and guided by commercial electronics had accomplished what a massive squadron of advanced fighter jets could never achieve. The most heavily defended airspace in Western Russia had been systematically dismantled by a handful of cardboard boxes. By 0120 hours, with the fire suppression systems completely crippled, the situation escalated from a tactical disaster into an existential threat for the entire facility. Unchecked rivers of burning jet fuel began pooling dangerously close to a staging area holding heavy aircraft munitions. The base commander frantically ordered a manual evacuation, forcing terrified soldiers to sprint across the illuminated concrete carrying crates of explosive ordnance toward waiting transport trucks. The Russian officers erroneously believed they had a momentary advantage, assuming the massive thermal updrafts generated by the burning aircraft would act as an invisible wall of turbulent air, violently flipping any lightweight drones that attempted to cross the apron. This assumption proved fatally flawed. The saboteur team had perfectly anticipated the extreme thermal dynamics of a massive aviation fire. A final pair of drones approached the base, but as they hit the perimeter, their electric motors completely cut out. Instead of fighting the violent updrafts, the cardboard airframes transformed into silent gliders that surfed the rising waves of superheated air directly over the frantic evacuation effort. Stripped of their engine noise, the weapons offered absolutely zero warning. The lead glider silently plummeted directly into the cargo bed of a fully loaded ammunition truck. The resulting sympathetic detonation of heavy aircraft shells created an earth-shattering shockwave that forced the surviving regiment to permanently abandon the flight line. At 0127 hours, the surviving command staff desperately scrambled toward the heavily fortified underground bunker, abandoning the burning flight line entirely. They believed that once the massive steel blast doors sealed shut behind them, they would finally be protected beneath 5 meters of reinforced concrete. They immediately initiated the emergency protocols to contact the regional headquarters to request immediate tactical air support. However, the saboteur team hiding in the freezing forests had planned for this exact retreat sequence. The operators had kept one final, specialized cardboard drone loitering at high altitude, waiting patiently for the command staff to isolate themselves underground. As the Russian general reached for the emergency telephone, the final airframe entered a vertical terminal dive, ignoring the sprawling inferno of the airfield. Instead, it struck the primary satellite communication array mounted on the bunker roof with absolute precision. The shaped charge instantly vaporized the delicate parabolic dish and severed the main data cables. Inside the bunker, the emergency screen suddenly went completely black, and the secure telephone lines fell dead. The most important strategic airbase in the Western Military District was now completely cut off from the outside world, trapped beneath the earth while their fleet burned to ashes above.